5 of my neighbors, none of whom have garbage pickup. 2 of them have businesses in Waterford, so it's crazy for them to have garbage at home and have to pay for garbage at their business. One person, their church allows them to take what little bit she has to the church dumpster, which is never filled. The comment was made, I can barely pay my taxes now, how will I ever pay for garbage if I'm required? I think it's really important that there is an opt-out. Another person who I guess is my hero recycles, composts, and doesn't use garbage and donates. Kind of the goal of everything, to get rid of garbage altogether. So for these 5 people, it will be a real hardship if you demand that they have garbage. And the gentleman that talked about the subdivision, I think that's the easy solution. If people on your street want to get together and say, okay, let's get a single hauler, we'll have 1 person. That's the easiest solution of all. Another thing I want to know is, will we all be required to have yard waste? In our neighborhood, we all have acreage, and we use our yard waste, our leaves, to put on our flower beds, to put on our gardens. We use it all for compost. And I know in some companies you are required to sign up for yard waste as well as the garbage. So think about these people, that this is going to be a hardship. I mean, this, for a lot of people, it will be a hardship for them to have to pay for garbage. I know one of the ladies told me every time she goes to get a prescription, it's gone up. So think about these people, and please put it in here where there can be an opt-out. If they have another way of getting rid of their garbage, then let them opt out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Darrell Bloom, 412 Sawyer. One of the first questions was why. In section 1 of the ordinance, section 10.272, purpose and necessity, the township board finds that the business of solid waste, recyclable materials, yard waste collection, transportation, disposal affects public health and general welfare of their township. Not only does it affect the general welfare of the township, it also affects what we pay. We have seen many small companies be dissolved by the big companies. Now, you think collusion is illegal, but try to prove collusion would be a difficult thing to do. It seems like every time that the big companies raise their rates, the small companies raise their rates also. What's going to happen if the big companies decide they're going to double or triple the rates? There'll be people that won't have garbage disposal services, can't afford it. We can control the price, more people can afford it. It's better for the public in general.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Yes, sir?
Why can't you just put this on a general ballot?
Come on up to the microphone, please.
No, I don't have to. I just want to know.
But yeah, but that's how we're supposed to, you're supposed to come up to the microphone, state your name and where you live, please.
My name is Charles Polk. I live on 6664 Waterford.
I'm sorry, what was the address, please?
All right,
What was the address, please?
6664 Clover, Waterford. No, why don't you just put this on the general ballot and get it over with? This is, you're not doing nothing there. Right? I don't see nothing to get done. Put it on the general ballot, let the people of Waterford vote. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, your question.
What's the answer?
What was the answer?
Sit there like a bunch of dummies and don't answer.
Right.
All online.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Gary Byron,
my.
5717 Tipperary Trail. Just one question. Your appointed review committee, when that meets, would that be behind closed doors, or would that be open to the public to listen to what's being discussed? That's a question.
Mr. Wall, that would not be an open meeting, would not have to be open to the public.
Okay. Township attorney says it could be behind closed doors.
Could,
What's the criteria?
Thank you.
What's the criteria for a closed door meeting?
We're not asking questions from the rear of the room. If you want to ask a question, please come up to the microphone. I just invited you up.
Thank you, sir.
Patty Bidzinski, 5738 Shotland Way, Waterford. What is the criteria for an open or closed meeting? What would determine a closed meeting for
For a
this
town,
issue?
for a township board,
Yes.
okay, if you have more than 4 members together, it has to be an open meeting unless you're doing attorney-client privilege information.
Okay,
If it's 3 township board members or less, it can be an open meeting.
but with 3
Can be a
township board
closed door
members or less, you do not have a quorum, therefore you cannot take a vote, correct?
Well, we're not voting, no, correct?
Okay, you're just having a meeting behind closed
Just
doors.
having a meeting, and the purpose of this is to review, the bids once they come in.
Is there an agenda published for a closed door meeting?
Yes?
Yes, it is. Yep.
And is it done prior to the closed door meeting?
I think it has to be published 18 hours prior to the meeting, it has to be posted 18 hours prior to us having the meeting.
And that would be posted on the township website, just
Correct.
exactly where we got the information today.
Yeah,
Correct,
posted
and at the doors.
at both entrances of town hall and in the clerk's office corridor, right there, it's posted on the bulletin
And on the
board.
website,
And the website, yes.
18 hours prior to that closed door meeting.
Yes.
And the only thing that determines the difference between an open meeting and a closed door meeting is the number of participants?
Number of participants, if it's the entire township board, it has to be privileged attorney-client. Has to be
Right.
privileged, has to be.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Wall, may I address the board
Yes, sir?
and the public? In response to the
Name.
discussion.
Name.
that-
I'm sorry, name?
Name and address.
Who is he?
My name is Gary Dover. I live at 4428 Fenimore in Waterford Township.
Thank you.
I'm also the township attorney, as you know. So the committee that was appointed will have 1 township board member on it. That is the supervisor. All other members will not be township board members. The Open Meetings Act applies to meetings of public bodies such as the township board. That is why I indicated that there was no requirement for those meetings to be public. There is no requirement for those meetings to be posted. There is no requirement for notice to be given of when those meetings are going to occur. That committee's function is going to be solely limited to review and providing a recommendation back to this board that the board will then take up and consider in a public meeting that will be open to the public. So the questions about whether it will be posted or not, those don't apply. They're not required. That's what I want to say.
Oops.
For the
Okay.
committee. The committee, correct?
What was the question?
For the committee, correct? It's, the meetings do not have to be posted for the committee to meet, because,
That is correct.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jim Van Horn again. You could almost see the next meeting, them against them and, a big fight. And most of the questions here were based on what's the bid gonna look like, not what your regulation that you're attempting to pass is about. It seems what would be sensible, as somebody mentioned the union. Well, I'm a union guy and I have been all my life, and I was a top negotiator for the union. And the one thing we always did was let people vote on the process, on the contract we reached. So is there a way you could add a ratification type of vote to your recommendations here, to your regulations? So that once you reach an agreement, that it hinges on the acceptance of the bid. In other words, we vote now to go ahead and try this and let you negotiate a contract. You bring the contract back And if the community looks at it and says, hey, that's a pretty good deal, we're voting on a good deal, we're not voting on sort of picking the polls we haven't even seen. You follow me? Because I'd like it to pass, and I can see that there's going to be a lot of conflict at the next meeting, if we don't have something like that. So that's just my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir?
10 cents worth, yeah.
Yeah, I already checked in once. Ray Hall, Bay State Literature. I don't understand this closed meeting where this almost sounds like you got a bunch of senior politicians sitting in the back corner figuring out a way they want to get something done. And I'm hearing a whole lot of people here. Some people, you know, they want this because they have problems in their community with too many trucks in there. I'm here to tell you, I live on Bay State Lake Road. Big sign, no semis, no trucks, local deliveries only. And every day, day in and day out, 24 hours a day, there's semi-trucks rolling down that road. I've complained for a long time. After a $72 million tax hike for police protection, I still have semi-trucks running up and down there. So for the folks that have too many trucks in your community, I'm sorry. Get your community together, vote on one, and do it. This whole thing, I mean, I feel like I'm at the, you know, the railroad company. Train's leaving. It's a done deal. I don't like that. It needs to be voted on by the people who live in this community. No back office, back door politics and stuff done in secret. Not cool, not smart, not well received.
Again, Denise Geyer, Pleasant Drive. I just wanted to bring up, I know I mentioned the last time about Rochester Hills, and I don't know if you guys, I know the committee's not collected yet or whatever, but if you guys have actually dove into any kind of investigating as to case history, Lake Orion, Rochester, you know, the city of Rochester was actually sued. We won't mention as to where Mr. Rizzo is right now, but again, it was a matter of bidding, but it was an option as to residents, and there was perks. There was a points system set up for residents. It did not, it wasn't conducive for condominiums, apartments, or businesses. But again, and I'm not on board on this at all. You guys obviously must be or have an idea of like how long of a contract and so forth, and what you guys would be looking for. I would suggest if you even go that route, to go a year to control expenses and kind of keep companies on their toes. But again, I would definitely like for an option to opt out. Again, I've been in the community for many years. I've had a long-standing relationship with a local company that I would give 100% support and loyalty. I've been with them already over 20 years. And so that's what I want to do. And it should be up to me what kind of services I want. And again, I don't agree with the road conditions. We've had garbage trucks forever. So either the material's not being well made. Again, we just went through one of the hardest recessions in our lifetime, or at least my lifetime, compared to the Great Depression, which back then was all dirt roads anyways. So anyways, again, I would like to see this being opted out, and I wouldn't even like to see it go forward, to be honest with you, because I believe in small businesses, enterprises, business like Charlie's, not to, no pun here, but a small business, and I think it's important for us to support our small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir?
Jim Brady, 5872 Pontiac Lake Road. Let me see if I get this straight. If I decide I want to take my own trash to a landfill myself, I still got to pay? How long?
Yes.
Okay, still why?
Residential, public road, curbside pickup, yes.
What's that supposed to mean? I don't understand.
Residential,
Yeah, I can do residential.
Public road.
I wonder why I gotta pay if I'm doing my own trash. Why do I have to pay for a trash hauler? I don't understand that.
because that's the way the ordinance is written.
Oh, so who wrote that ordinance? I'd like to shake his hand.
Right up there.
You know, every meeting I've ever come to, overwhelmingly people said, we don't want this. Now, some did, but the majority didn't. Y'all sat up there, you never said much, you just let us talk. Except for one person, Mr. Bartolotta. I apologize if I didn't say your name right. He made the remark, I'm tired of seeing trash 5 days a week on my street. And right then, I knew we was toast, because if he wanted it, all of you are gonna back him up on it. We have no choice. This should have been voted on by the people. You guys could have done everything else you wanted done, you sneak it in and get it done. Why didn't you let us vote on it? If we get beat, we get beat. But if we decide what we want, not what you guys want, not what Mr. Bartolotta wants, but what we want, we should have had that chance. And you didn't give it to anybody. You sat there, never said nothing. He did, and that's what happened. And now, people's gotta pay. If they get rid of their own trash, they still gotta pay. All because of, I don't know, backroom stuff. This man says it's a good thing or it can happen. Baloney.
So, let me try to understand, okay, again, Denise Geyer, Pleasant Drive. This cannot be taxed in our taxes, correct?
No, it's
So
not.
you guys would just sign a contract with one hauler, send out a notice to us, or the hauler would send out a notice to us saying, oh, by the way, you owe us X amount.
Yep.
Correct? And by the way, you have recycling, you have yard, you have all this stuff. And so most of those haulers typically have more than one truck for all these items. So they just don't typically, I mean, I guess maybe Waste Management does, or at least some trucks. Obviously, it'd probably just be 3 bids you guys are probably gonna be looking for. Most likely, it's usually 3 bids. That is kind of a question. Is it 3 bids?
We'll find out. We haven't put it out yet, so I guess however many comes in.
Okay.
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
So if somebody chooses not to pay the company and it's not taxed, and I would assume it's not gonna be in the lien position as far as placed on property, how would a person be forced to pay?
Delinquent payments will go on your tax bill.
So it'd be a lien.
No,
Yes.
not yet.
Well, taxes are a lien.
Not yet. It's on your tax bill. The next time around, then it becomes a lien.
Okay, so then technically if someone didn't pay that lien, it could go to tax sale over, not garbage.
Yeah.
Technically,
Yes, that's what, okay,
technically,
it would go. So, I mean, this is gonna be a lot of fires. I
Maybe
know
our,
it's-
maybe our attorney can clarify this a little bit better.
Okay, well, let me finish
Okay.
with my minute and then the
Okay.
attorney can step up. So, this is not going to turn out well. And like I said, I don't know if you guys talked to the supervisor out in Rochester Hills.
Is
And
this just not
Victoria, there's 2 different companies, and I understand that these companies that are picking up, if you put items in a recycle that should not be, that they are actually being charged additional fees and so forth. So if I choose to not recycle, and besides that, you can like take bottles, glass, or whatever up to Kroger's now and recycle. So if I choose a conservative, for me, single person, woman, not married, 1 income, and I'll probably be working time 75 or 80, and so forth like that, that I'm gonna be forced to go on board with some kind of a large company, which, I mean, I will have an issue with. So, thank you.
thank you. Attorney Dover?
Is there any other members of the public that raise their hands?
Please address it.
Nobody did.
So, you know, I've listened to the comments, I've made some notes.
Hold the microphone up, so.
Do that.
What was your name?
So, it may be helpful to outline what the public hasn't seen. When we acted on the RFP earlier, I'm hoping I'm not on time here. So, the RFP documents, once they are approved, they call for them to be posted on the township's website. They're also going to be used, system through the state of Michigan to provide notice to possible bidders. Those documents should answer a lot of questions. The timeline under those documents involves requesting bids to come in on a date in July and a target date for the board to consider two things: whether you want to adopt these ordinances that you introduced, and whether you want to award a contract to anyone. The reason the board chose to do it this way is that until you've decided if there's a contractor you want to pick, you're not going to make the mandatory hauler the law. You're only going to adopt the ordinance if, as a result of the bids, you have decided that there is a bidder that's in the best interest of the township. When the bids are opened on the bid deadline, at that point, they're going to be subject to the Freedom of Information Act. If someone actually wants to see the bids that came in, they can make a request under that act. It's very simple to do, and they would be entitled to receive copies of those bids. So while there's been a lot of talk about everything being behind closed doors, no transparency, the process that's going to be followed will be anything but. I understand comments about folks wanting to serve on a committee. The committee's function is solely to look at the bids and analyze them. The supervisor recommended the budget director, somebody with a finance background. He recommended the township engineer, somebody with that type of background. And me, somebody with a legal background. Not to decide anything, but to analyze the bids, present them to the board for its consideration. That's the process that's been laid out. And turning to the final thing, the ordinance that was introduced tonight does provide that if someone does not pay their bill and it goes delinquent, on an annual basis, the contractor can certify notices of those delinquencies. They have to sign an affidavit with lots of information in it. If they do that, the ordinance says the township board may approve placing that on the tax roll. It would be a lien on the property. It would go on the December tax bill as being on the tax roll under the amendment that we outlined earlier. If the board has any questions, I can answer them. I thought maybe that general layout might be of some assistance to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Come up and ask him, please. Typically, you're here, in fact, no. You're here to address the board, not the township attorney.
Oh, okay. Well, this is Ray from Bay City Lake again. It sounds like a lot of work's been put into creating this ordinance. And it sounds like you folks have had quite a number of hours invested in creating this ordinance for, let's just say, residential something or another. Don't you think maybe it would be a good idea to get with the people in the community and ask what we wanted before you took it upon yourselves to create this beautiful ordinance? It's fabulous. Okay, got all kinds of legal jargon in it that I don't understand. But don't you think it would have been a good idea? You represent the people, you're the trustees. Trust. Okay, I'm hearing a lot of lack of trust, and I understand it. You should have asked people first, before you invested this man's time for weeks and weeks and weeks to draw up this beautiful ordinance. It's cool. But you should have asked. And it should have been voted on, and it's not your role to make that kind of decision, to put something to take away my choice, to put a monopoly in place. It's not your role. your trustees means something, or it did at one time. I'm not sure it does anymore. Gary, I'm on the opposite side of the fence a lot of times for some of the stuff we do. Some stuff I'm right on board with. This, I don't like it. Okay, you should have asked first.
Yes, ma'am?
Ask for forgiveness and his permission.
Sharon Thomas, 2768 Winkleman, Waterford, Michigan. I just want to say that I appreciate the courage that you guys have had to bring this forward. Many of you know me on a first-name basis and know that I come to board meetings quite regularly. Over the years, I've sat through both sides of this issue. I come and I see people angry because we don't have a single hauler. I see people who don't want it changed. I applaud your courage in bringing this forward. I'm sorry that some people don't trust the process. I would say, come more often to the board meetings and watch. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else? Okay, so I just need to give you a little background on how we've gone about doing this. I did meet with Brian Barnett, the mayor of Rochester Hills, myself, and 8 other municipalities that are entertaining this idea. 7 of those 8 were also townships of going to a single source hauler. We met with Brian Barnett, and they just signed their 3rd 5-year contract. They're in year number 11 right now. And in that first 10 years, the 11th year, it went up $4 a quarter is all it's gone up. And they've got a lot of interesting things written in their contract. We also got a contract to the Southwest West Bloomfield Township. We also got a copy of the contract to the West White Lake Township. Commerce Township. We've reached out to other municipalities that already had this implemented and have it in place. And some have been in place for a long time. We've taken their RFPs and let it out for bids. We took what we liked and what we didn't like. We are a unique township in the fact that we have 34 lakes. We're the most populated township in Oakland County and the 5th most populated township in the state. We're kind of a big player per se. But at the same time, we've done a lot of homework and done a lot of due diligence in looking out and talking to other municipalities that have already done it. Like I said, somebody mentioned earlier, not to reinvent the wheel. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're looking at what other municipalities have done, and it's been successful. What they went through, what their problems were, what they didn't want to do, what they suggested. You know, you can save time if you don't do this. You can save time if you do this. Coaching, sharing their ideas and their programs with us. And I value that information. We're able to sit in meetings, sort all this stuff out, mark out ahead of time what we liked and what we didn't like, and get it out and create our own ordinance and our own RFP. And we're doing it in the order first. We introduced the ordinance tonight, but we're letting the RFP out. If the RFP comes out where it's not a very good deal for Waterford Township, we're not going to go forward with it. However, all the other municipalities I talked to, it's been a large savings per average, per household, for every community. And I don't understand why Waterford would be any different. The fact that we have more customers in a bigger community. And somebody mentioned earlier about dividing in halves and dividing it in quadrants. Tony proposed that quite some time back. We had 4 or 5 people show up at the first meeting, 2 at the next, and that was the end of it. We didn't even, because people they weren't interested. They just weren't. So, I mean, we've done a lot of due diligence, spent a lot of time on this, and it's not like a done deal. Like I said, we're going through the process properly. Everything in this township is public, except when we have delicate issues that can't be made public until the decision is made. That's when we have attorney-client, being client, Charter Township of Waterford, or the representatives and support members. We have those meetings behind closed doors, but then whatever we do is always voted on publicly if a decision's made. So again, there's nothing, there are no under the table deals, there are. And like I said, this gentleman said he agrees with me, disagrees with me. That happens, it just does. That's life in general. I'm not saying he's wrong, I'm not saying I'm right, you know, but the thing of it is, when you disagree, you gotta be able to agree to disagree, because we're all in this together. July 20th, I'll be celebrating my 65th year here in Waterford Township. Never left. I love it here, and I'm gonna die here, and I don't wanna build anybody's hopes none too soon. So, yeah, that's the way it is. And again, I have the best interest in this community, and if you guys decide to vote me out of office in 2020, fine, but the next person that comes in needs to be walked into a ready-made deal that was done and done for the right reasons for the betterment of our community. And you can go on and on and on, but you know, the carbon footprint, the safety issues. I live on a double dead-end street. People, garbage truck pulls in, he has one customer, he back all the way down the street, pick up that customer, give it back. And that's nothing against garbage haulers. Those guys are hard workers. It's a business. They have a job to do. This is not an attack on garbage haulers. It isn't. It has nothing to do with that. Everybody has a job to do. But if you can minimize the amount of road traffic you have on your roads, everybody knows the number one cause of damage to public roads is excessive axle weight, period. I've had structural engineers tell me that time and time and time again. Excuse me, road engineers, not structural engineers. Number one cause of damage is excessive axle weight. And again, and if you've got, like I said, my subdivision, I don't know how many garbage trucks we had because I worked during the day until I did a remodel on my neighbor's house across the street. 31 homes, we had 5 different haulers 4 days a week, and in the summertime, the yard waste, that's 15 trucks a week. And then when it lets off, yard waste goes away, the roads freeze up, so you don't have the excessive axle weight of the roads because the roads are frozen. So it's not as damaging. But again, if you limit it to 3 and then in the colder months 2 times a week, you're getting a lot less excessive axle weight on your roads. Again, we've done a lot of work and we've looked into this a whole bunch. And every bit of information everybody's got, they shared with everybody on the board, the township attorney, and he shared it back with us. So again, this isn't just something we came in one morning and said, we're gonna do it. And again, the first step to show good faith, if we're letting it out, our ordinance is still in place, it hasn't changed. We're gonna let it out for RFP, request for proposal, request for a bid, estimate, whatever you wanna call it. We're letting it out first and foremost to see where the prices are coming in at and how significant they are. And we are looking, somebody mentioned a 1-year contract, we're looking at a 5-year contract, so we can get fixed pricing for 5 years. You'll know exactly what you're gonna pay for the next 5 years, and you can budget for it.
Why couldn't we have had that speech before all this? That was beautiful. Man,
You let the public speak.
I know,
first.
but doggone it, you just released a ton of anxiety for me.
But you still let the public, you don't want to try and act like you're trying to sway people's opinion before they speak. You want to let people speak, and then we speak.
You're a good speaker, though. I enjoyed listening to that.
Is anybody else on the board? Have anything you want to say?
Very well.
I just want to say that one trash truck fully loaded is the equivalent of 1,279 cars going up and down your road. When you times that by 15, that's a lot of weight going up and down your road. Not to mention the safety involved with your pets and children running around. There have been accidents with garbage haulers. A couple of people have been killed with the garbage trucks. I just want you to take all of that into consideration. Yes.
And again, that's not saying anything about people working on a garbage truck. They're good people and they're hard workers and they do a very, very good job. And I don't think I want to do that for a living. I really don't.
Did you say after it was all said and done, we're gonna get the vote on it? Is that, did I hear that, or? Was
No,
that-
I didn't say that.
So we still don't get the vote on it?
No, I didn't. No.
Why not?
What do you mean, why not?
Why don't we get a say in it? You're charging us, you're penalizing us if we don't want it. So the ordinance should be rewritten, number one, and number two, we should get the vote. No, number one, we should get to vote on it. You guys shouldn't get to have this. Just because what you guys want and don't want doesn't mean that's what we want. Let us decide.
You all set?
We don't.
No, I want to know what.
I started to ask a question, you cut me off. Are you all set?
But then they must bring up first.
Not till you tell me why we can't vote on it.
Can I speak, please?
Absolutely.
Okay. Every municipality I just mentioned, White Lake, Commerce, West Bloomfield, Rochester Hills, their city council and township boards made the decision.
I don't care about them. I don't live in those. I live here.
I understand that.
And I want to be able to vote on what I want and what I don't want.
Well, you already said you're not voting for any of us again. So again, you have the opportunity to vote. I'm just saying, this is a decision.
Not on this agenda, I don't. The ordinance should, somebody else said, we should be able to opt out. If we don't want it, we don't want it. You shouldn't Obamacare us. You shouldn't. We should not be penalized for something we don't want. We shouldn't be forced to pay for something we don't want. That's what Obamacare did, and that screwed me bad.
Well, let me see. Obamacare, if memory serves me right, every president in the United States pays for Obamacare. So we're not going to be fortunate enough to have that. So don't compare it to Obamacare.
It's exactly like Obamacare.
No, it isn't.
It is exactly. You're forcing us to pay for something we don't want. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you know, right?
You just asked and I answered. You didn't want to hear my answer. What do you want me to do? Hook up a lie?
I want you to tell me why we can't vote on it.
Because we're making that decision.
You shouldn't make that decision. We should.
We're making that decision.
You shouldn't.
We were elected to make decisions.
And
Don't tell me what decision.
You can vote
I
in
should make.
2020.
Decision, Gary Wall. You shouldn't make it.
Okay, your time's up.
No, it's not. I got minute 6.
106.
Well, in 2020, you can vote to elect us all out, and then this can be
Well, that's
relooked at.
definitely going to happen, but I want to vote on this.
Maybe the new board will put it to vote then.
Should I say something here?
Yeah, sure.
The Waterford Township put this board, they voted us in to make decisions for the township. We have the authority to do it, we're doing it.
You guys are making a decision for, what, 70,000 people?
74,000 people.
74,000 people. You guys are making that decision, and how many of us do really want it? You guys are
There's
not
only a
you're
handful.
elected to represent us, not to make your own
I've
decision.
gotten inundated with emails the past
I've been
year
inundated with people
asking,
that hate it.
well,
Well.
then run for our job, 2020.
I want your job.
You can sit out there and make the decision.
I don't want your job.
We only have a handful of our residents here out of 74,000.
Right, in the
We've
last
heard
2
many
times.
others on the opposite side
The
also.
last 2 times it was overwhelmingly, they told you not to do it, but you did it anyway.
That was in 1998.
Oh, was it? It was 2 years ago.
1998 it went on the ballot.
Right, that was 21 years ago. Right.
Right, well, we can be here all night long, but you
Right.
come up 5, 6, 7 times, I think one time.
Right. We're done. Okay. Anybody else on the board? Yeah. Okay, well, let everybody else come up twice, you can come up. I don't know. The last one.
Is this going to cure?
What was your name, please?
James Brady,
Thank you.
Pontiac Lake Road.
Thank you.
Is this going to cure the road problem?
Is this going to cure what, subdivision street road problem?
Yeah.
No, the only thing that can cure that, as I said earlier, is the abutting residential property owners in those neighborhoods to get an SAD through the Road Commission of Oakland County to have their roads either repaved or milled and capped.
So the one garbage truck a week is not going to cure the problem with the bad roads? Is
We're
that
hoping
right?
that it will
It's a
slow
start.
the problem.
It's a start.
No, I didn't say.
Does weather have anything to do with it? Bad roads?
Well, I tell you what, I just came back from a funeral in the Upper Peninsula in May, okay? Their winters up there, I would say, are probably 5 times worse than us, okay? You know the 2 things I didn't see up there, any bad roads, I didn't see any pothole patching, anywhere in the UP, nowhere.
So they got people
Nowhere.
there to know how to take care of roads, how come we don't?
Less
Again, township doesn't take care of roads. Road Commission for Oakland County and our county takes care of it.
All I'm saying is that's not going to, you put it out there that our roads are bad and it's the garbage truck's fault.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
That's what it's all about.
No, I did not. I did not say that.
Are you gonna do anything about the weather? No. You know, you bring up Rochester, West Bloomfield, Commerce, you bring up all these high dollar places, this is Waterford, we don't have money like them people do.
I brought up White Lake. I brought up White Lake also.
Yeah, White Lake's got money too.
Okay, so does Waterford Township.
We're not, you can't compare, you compare us with people that's got big bucks. We're not them type of people.
Life is great.
We have a hard time making ends meet. People are on fixed incomes, and you think one trash hauler, the price is gonna stay down on it? It's not gonna happen. You're taking away the competition. It ain't gonna happen. You guys all together up there are a whole lot smarter than me about it. You should know that. Or don't you care? I guess you don't. You can stay here and listen to that crap like you know.
Okay.
Motion to move to closed session with South Township Attorney regarding trial and settlement matters for FBI Incorporated versus Waterford. Case number 2018-69635-C.
I'll support.
Okay, any further discussion on that? Roll call.
Bartolotta.
Yes.
Birch.
Yes.
Joliet.
Yes.
Marquis, yes. Wall.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes. We'll vote when we come back from closed session.